mean, it's a lot of work to do global scale engineering.
That's cool. That's cool. So, how do you prepare for the technical interview process at Google?
Yeah, and I mean, uh, technical interviews are probably a little bit harder to prep for. I think I don't think there's anything that I could share that you can't already find online, but I'll go over the basics. Make sure you go through, got your leak code questions prepared. I mean, you're gonna get a leak code style question. Make sure that you know your data structures and algorithms, know hash maps, like arrays, different indexing, different like all the different like typical things that you need to do all of those questions, and just stick to it. Practice. I mean, there's no like secret code of just if you answer these 10 questions, then you'll know everything you need to know. It's just you got to put in the hours.
That's amazing. So, what resources or platforms did you use to practice data structures and algorithm?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, the big thing was just a bunch of YouTube videos, Geeks for Geeks, love them, and Lico. It wasn't anything fancy.
So, like people, they're pretty confused that which platform they should choose. Well, like we have HackerRank, we have CodeChef, then we have like Lead Code, Geeks for Geeks. So they like they don't stick with one platform. They just like keep on switching. They're like, oh, let's try that thing. Oh, my friend is doing that, so I should try and do that thing instead of like what you're doing currently. So, how big of a role does Lead Code play in like technical interviews?
Yeah, so it's interesting you brought up HackerRank. Some of my interviews were done through HackerRank. So maybe that's a good platform to use. I didn't use it for my studying, so I wouldn't know. But but I think at the end of the day, like which platform you use, like which study material you use, at the end of the day, it's more about what expertise you have. So I think it doesn't really matter where you do it. Maybe HackerRank has a slight advantage because it'll be the same as the interviews you do for the companies, but I think at the end of the day, that's not like the bigger that's not the bigger thing you should focus on.
So basically, like a platform is just something that one should focus on. Like they should focus on practicing this and like doing the problems instead of like just choosing one platform specifically.
Yeah, and I know it can be a little like scary, which platform to go with, but I think at the end of the day, what matters more is that you put in the hours, right? More than where you're doing it.
That's amazing. So, well, how do you like practice lead code? Like, did you like used to do 10 questions a day, 2 questions a day, or like how your process was?
Yeah, so I only did like a few questions a day, but it was like before I went to bed, did a few questions, did a few applications, and then went to bed.
Was it
Yeah,
like
put in
something
a
that
lot of applications.
you did like 3, 4 questions per day every night, like before going to bed?
Yeah, when around interview time I was. Basically what I would do is I would apply to a bunch of companies, and then do a few questions and go to bed.
Well, that's amazing. So, how do you like solve a DSA question? So we are like also moving towards the like next question. That can you talk about a problem that you solved while interviewing at Google, and like how did you manage to solve that?
Yeah, so when it comes to any like technical interview, there's kind of like a system to how you should answer it. The first thing is read the question. Like actually intently read the question, take notes on what it's saying. It's I know that's a really easy thing to skip, like, oh, I see what's going on. But no, no, no. Make sure you intently read it and take notes about it so you know what's happening. And then next step is here's here's something that I don't hear a lot of people say, but it worked really well for me was say how you plan to approach the question. Just say that out loud. Say I'm planning on using an array for this. I want to use say maybe like a binary search, or maybe I want maybe I think this is best used as a linked list. Just say how you plan to approach things. And then afterward, ask the recruiter, do you think that's a good way to go for it? Maybe they'll say, you should try this. Maybe they'll say that's a good way to do it. And maybe they say, I want to see you try using this data structure instead. And, I think starting with that, then you go ahead and think, and then once you've kind of structured how you want to go for it, then you start writing it up, asking your recruiter as you go, like, do you think this is a good way to do it? Do you think maybe this is a good idea? Make sure you add some comments along the way, like follow the best coding practices you can think of. Make sure that the code is as clear as you can make it. And then once you have a solid solution, put it through a few test cases, walk yourself line. Sometimes they'll give you like an IDE where you can just run the code. I didn't have that, so I walked through it line by line with a couple of the test cases they gave me. Asked them like, is that how you want it? Maybe there's some edge cases or some corner cases you kind of considered, like, oh, maybe what do you want to do if that string is empty? What do you want to do if that string only has it doesn't have enough characters? What do you want me to return? And those edge cases, make sure you consider those and just talk through your answer as best you can.